During the Second World War in the New Order universe, the Soviet Union would suffer an unbelievable defeat. They were fractured into many of their own independent states. They did try to put up a fight in the Second West Russian War with the help of communism, but it's safe to say that monarchism and communism didn't work for the Russian people. We lost basically everything. Every Russian individual felt heartbroken. They had all lost a bit of themselves. Even if they didn't contribute to the war, or their family didn't contribute to the war, or anything, they still lost the dignity, hope, and pride as a Russian people. So, it's time to take a more radical approach to reunite Russia. We are playing as Amur when we have got Konstantin Rodzaevsky as our leader. He is more aligned with the Japanese in their faction, obviously, because we share our same economic beliefs and we're in the economic sphere. We've got some pretty decent and pretty detrimental national spirits to our nation. So without further ado, let's indulge. First things first, we've got to indulge and commence in completing the first national focus tree of the video. We are obviously the true heirs of Harbin, because Cheetah and other nations are illegitimate, weak puny states. Now, we are going to further improve and prolong relations between us and the Japanese faction. They are pretty massive and sizable, the Japanese and the allies, so it's gonna be quite annoying to negotiate because we're gonna have to be quite submissive, obviously. Now we're gonna go down the left side of our focus tree, where we can enact some diplomatic talks with the Japanese. We've got some focuses right here, and would you look at that? We've had our first major success. We've gained a state from the Japanese, and the dialect said first this little state that I don't know how to pronounce, then Moscow. I mean, it's quite ballsy to say, but I'll try to make that dream true. Now, I forgot to mention that we also have a little decision mechanic thingy where we can improve relations between us and the Japanese. Obviously we can't improve like manually by improving relations, you normally do in vanilla hard to iron for. That doesn't exist in TNO, so that's how we're going to improve our relations with the Japanese. But anyways, the left side of the focus tree has been completed. Now the left side of the focus tree was primarily focusing on Japanese and basically everything about them. So now we can actually focus on ourselves, because we are not Japanese, we are Russian, Slavic. So we're going to fully embrace our Slavic identity, but we're also going to have to undergo Rodzaevsky's, did I pronounce that right? I don't know, but our leader's purge, because we are a fascist nation. There's just gonna be a purge, it's guaranteed. But hopefully this will strengthen stability in our nation in the long run. Even though it might cripple our stability, it'll definitely improve our nation in the long run. But yeah, just a quick disclaimer, anything done, said in this video is just for entertainment purposes or educational purposes solely. So don't take anything I say or do personally. Anyways, back to the video. We've got some pretty nice and pretty detrimental national spirits, but we've got rid of the national spirit debuff of the Great Purge, because we've completed the right side of the focus tree. However, we had so many focuses to do that we weren't able to unlock the Sumata decisions before nations like Magadan and Cheetah. Thus, Magadan took this opportunity to declare war on us. A big mistake on their behalf. Now it's time to show them who are the true heirs to the Russian throne. Now initially I thought that I was gonna get overrun and might lose my capital because my entire army was on the border of Chita. However, Magadan, foolish as they are, didn't deploy any divisions on the front line, or barely any, when encircled basically the majority of their army before reaching their capital, Magadan. So, they would ultimately capitulate and we would assimilate them back into our rightful hands. But we've also unlocked the Simamata decisions for ourselves, finally. So, we can attack instead of being attacked. We're gonna start by invading, I think, Chita and the Sakha Republic. Sakha Republic is at war with the Kursk, and so is Chita. Now, with our army reforms and with foreign aid from the Japanese, our army would be a whopping 17 divisions, all with good quality. However, the war with Chita wouldn't be a great success, for as the Kursk would beat us to the race to the capital, Chita. Now there are only two nations left that we can invade right now, Kursk and the Soviet Pacific Fleet. Both we're going to do at the same time. As we began our invasion on Kursk, we would basically put the majority of our army on there, and just a few divisions on the Soviet Pacific Fleet. Kursk fell with relative ease, and so did the Soviet Pacific Fleet. The Soviet Pacific Fleet was only strong with their naval abilities, not their army. So, those two nations would crumble as they were assimilated. Now there's only one nation left in Far Eastern Siberia, the Divine Mandate of Siberia. I noticed with this new map improvement with Antarctica and stuff that the Divine Mandate of Siberia, would be stretched pretty thin. So we would just march all divisions at the same time, leading to the immediate capitulation of Alexander Min's little nation. But more importantly, that means all Far Eastern Siberia is under Amur's control. Now, with a click of a button, we can reunite Far Eastern Siberia. A major victory for all of Amur. This was mainly just a speed bump on a road to Russian reunification. We have also got a brand new focus tree, which looks pretty interesting. So, let's commence. Well, now that we've actually cemented ourselves as a quite powerful nation on the world stage, we have to do some reforms, but we've also got some advisors. We haven't only got one supreme leader, have we? We've got some pretty close allies, like Bolotov. We're gonna see what he can do. We're gonna go down the more radical path, because I want to fully radicalize this game path. This game in total. Just to see how far and crazy this can go. Anyways, as we continue to traverse down our newly acquired focus tree, I would soon realize that basically all super regional focuses have got the same aspects except for the political side of the focus tree. Obviously, they've got their own ideologic beliefs, and this one is glorifying Russia and Slavism throughout our nation. But diplomacy won't stop there. We would still negotiate with the Japanese, and in the end, it would turn out to be a great victory for us. We would gain a large chunk of what used to be Russian territory that was now owned by Manchuria, meaning we can conclude the entirety of our focus tree. But we would not stop there with our expansion just yet. We've got a strong army, strong pride. We are ready for war. The year is now 1936, so it's time to prepare for the Second Siberian War. The first one ended in catastrophe, we were fragmented. However, Amur, the leader, our people, who are faithful in us, will lead us to victory against the Central Siberian Federation. As we declared war on the Central Siberian Federation, I would soon realize that this would be a piece of cake. Our army reforms would be so drastic that we would have victories on all ends of our front. From the bottom of the front lines, to the middle, to the top, all would be victories. We would focus on the south, primarily because we could pull off a few encirclements, and that's where the major cities are, such as Tomsk and Novosibirsk. We would capture Tomsk within a matter of weeks, before making our way to Novosibirsk, leading to the inevitable capitulation of the Central Siberian Federation. A major victory for the all-Russian government of the Far East, which will soon be called Siberia as a whole. The Siberian national state is now what the globe should call us. A major victory for us, a major victory for all the Russian people. We've got a little focus tree, which is also unique, but not the same style as others, but it's still unique in my book. I wouldn't get into too much detail on the focus tree that we just completed, but it improved our army even further with more army reforms, political reforms, etc., improving our nation even further, leading to full-scale invasion prepared and commenced against the Russian People's Union, led by Pavel Batov. Let's see how well our newly reformed army and nation overall can do for the war to reunite almost all of Russia. Actually, no, it is all of Russia. That isn't part of other nations that think they can reunite Russia. But the first days of the war were a major victory for us. We saw victories on all ends of the battlefront, primarily focusing on the south, yet again, whereas the northern parts have nothing because it's just an icy mess. But with the Russian People's Union's army in fragments, we would be able to snake past their front lines into major cities like Samara and southern Urus. So, basically all of the motherland is under our control, and Russia is unified under one nation once more.
Песен мы в сердце сложили, воспевая родные края. Беззаветно тебя мы любили, свято-русская.
Back in 1962, we were known as Amur, an illegitimate Russian breakaway state from the Siberian War, which had no hope of reuniting Russia, until our leader, Konstantin Rodzaevsky, took full control with a few reforms, undergoing in relation to the Japanese, and countless wars. We were able to triumph over all other Russian warlords. So, we have got a bright future ahead of us. There's so much more to do. We've got to tackle our threats, like the Germans, and get a revenge. But that's for part 2. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and stay tuned.